All right. Hi, guys. Good morning, everyone. You guys can hear me, right?
Good morning. Yes.
All right, great. Okay, cool. Let's get started. Let me just share my screen. Any doubts, any question from whatever we learned yesterday? Okay. Seems like there is no doubt from yesterday's class. Okay, great. 1 second. I'm just setting up my screen. All right. Okay. Okay. So we were talking about the different options and functionalities that Excel provides, right? We saw sorting, we saw pasting, we saw how to use shortcuts like the keyboard shortcuts, etc. Right? Then if you notice that we can also filter from whatever we have done, right? Last class, when we selected all the table and we went to editing, we added sort and filter. So by that filter, what really happened is that every column over here, I got an option to filter with the drop downs. With the drop downs over here, I got an option of filtering using the drop down that has been given over here. So if you just click on this drop down, you can filter whatever you want. So let's say you only want Chennai. You are going to click on Chennai and then click anywhere outside and you will get data only of Chennai. Okay. So that's one way of filtering. I mean, that's the basic level filtering where you can view specific data points and you can analyze your data more efficiently by focusing on what information is relevant to you. But apart from that, okay, can I get the data link? Okay, let me send the data 1 second. Give me a minute. Okay, apart from that, there is a way of doing advanced filtering as well. What do I mean by advanced filtering? Which means you can filter data based on multiple criteria, or you can extract specific records very, very quickly. Now sometimes if you want to, enhance data management, or if you want to simplify large data sets, in those cases, you need advanced filtering. Like, for example, in the city, over here, there are multiple filter options. Can you see that? That you can filter by color, or you can choose if you want to filter by something that equals a value, does not equal a value, begins with a value. Like if I give begins with, let's say, C, right? Now, if you see all the values that begin with C has come up over here. So you don't have to go and manually select all the C over here. You can just use these options that are present over here. right? And other than that, there is also does not, begins with, ends with, does not end with, contains, does not contain. All kind of pattern matching can be done in this case. You can choose. Basically, you can choose that, what kind of pattern matching do you want to do, what kind of data do you want to filter, and etc. Got that? Is that clear for everyone? Okay, next up, if we select this column, let's say I select the city column and I go to the data tab over here, there is another option of advanced filtering. Also, remember this thing that home tab is like a summary of all the other tabs. So all the important or all the most used options or functions from all the other tabs are present in home tab. So you might see repetitive options in the individual tabs as well. Like for data, if you see the sorting options are present in home tab also. And in detail, it is present in the data tab as well. So right now we have used the normal filter, but you can clear the filter, you can reapply the filter, and you can go for advanced filter as well. So when you click on the third option, it's advanced filter. So you can choose, do you want to filter here in its place itself? Like, do you want to filter in the same place that the city column is there, or do you want to copy it to another location? Like, whatever filtered data will be there, it will be copied to a new location. So if you want to copy to a new location, you can just specify the location, like which location do you want to copy this to. Let's say I put it up over here. That's it. Then you can give what is your criteria of what is your criteria of filtering. Like if you want specific values or specific conditions, you can choose over here, right? Then if you want only the unique records to be copied, then you can choose that, right? And you can give whatever criteria you want to filter to, and it will basically filter to that same criteria over here. So this is for advanced level filtering. Got it? Clear till here, everybody? Okay. So these are like basic options and functionalities that Excel has. Okay. Now we will talk about how we can start with data analysis that we have, that we want to do in Excel. We'll go step by step. The first step in the data analysis process is to, obviously, after we understand the objective and what do we really want to do with the data, what is our goal. Once we understand that, the next step the next step is to basically basically start with cleaning the data. Okay, so we over here in this particular supermarket grocery sales retail, our only goal is to analyze sales. Okay, we want to analyze sales, we want to see what are the factors that are affecting sales. So remember, that is our goal. We want to see what factors are affecting sales, we are trying to analyze sales. So what kind of cleanings do you think we can do in the data? What things do I'm trying to ask, what are the things that makes a data unclean? Can you guys name some things?
New null values and or null value handling.
Okay, missing values or null values is one. What else? Right, duplicate data or redundant data, right. So missing values are something that we can handle, because missing value means the value was supposed to be there but it is not there, so it is a missing value. Okay, so we need to handle that, or else it will create bias in our calculations and etc. Second is redundant data, data that have duplicate entries, right? Duplicate data again is a maybe it's a mis-entry of the data. Maybe someone by mistake has entered the same row twice or thrice. So that's a redundant data. That's a duplicate data which we don't need. So we'll have to handle that. Or else again your analysis can go wrong. Next up, any kind of spelling mistakes, if we can detect, we need to fix that as well. Or if there is any unwanted column. So if there is any unwanted column, we can delete all the unwanted columns as well. These are the different kind of data cleaning that we can do in the data in order to make the data clean to start the analysis. A lot of people get confused in clean, like why are we cleaning? We are cleaning the parts or the things that will make our analysis um, worth worth it, right? That's the thing that we can look into or check in. What do we really want to clean over here? How can we look for outliers in Excel? We can using box plot, and we can use IQR ranges and etc. So don't worry, we'll go over there. Okay. So first thing that I'll talk about is duplicate data. Okay. So I'll just show you an example first. Okay. So let's say there is a column called fruits. And in fruits, let's say I have multiple fruits: apple, banana, orange, banana, mango, apple, mango, and key. So we can very clearly see that over here, okay, over here, there are basically duplicates that are present over here, right? We can see that there are duplicates present over here. How do I deal with these duplicates? Okay, so you can, again, we are dealing with the duplicates because we are trying to improve our analysis, we are trying to enhance our data quality, right? So we will select the range of cells that we want to find duplicates in. So this is our rows, these are the rows that are present for the fruits column, right? So I'll select the rows over here, or the range of cells that you want to remove duplicates from. So select a range of cells. Obviously, we won't select the column name because column name is just the name of the column. It doesn't fall under the actual data that is stored in in the data table. So I'll select the range of the cells. Again, go to the data tab over here. Go to data tab. Okay, and here you have an option over here, right? Can you see this group, text to columns and etc.? In this, there is an option over here. If the first option is basically flash fill, then there is data validation, consolidate. But here, this option over here is remove duplicates. So if you just directly click on remove duplicates, it is asking you that your list has a header called fruits, right? I've said yes, the header is fruits, that's right. So I'm going to click on OK. And if you see, it literally said me that there are 3 duplicates that were found and removed. So there are only 5 unique values that remain. And if you see, there are only 5 unique values that I got. So very easily in Python, sorry, my bad. In Excel, you can basically delete or remove the duplicates over here as well. Got it? Is that clear from here? We'll come to null and missing value treatment in detail in a while, but we are right now understanding what kind of functions or things are there or present in Excel. Okay. So whatever I talked till now, I think I covered quite a few things. Can you guys like quickly try it on your own data set? I mean the data that you have opened in Excel, and just let me know once you guys are done. Okay, I just got two done. What about others? Are we done? Okay, great. Next up, in this data, in our actual data, also we'll try and delete all the duplicates. So what I'll do is I'll simply go to the row number 2, Control Shift right arrow, Control Shift down arrow, and from here I'll just click on remove duplicates. So it is asking me, are these all the headers that you have? Which is right, these are the headers that I have. So I'm going to click on OK, and it says that no duplicates found. So that means my data had no duplicates found over here. First thing is that. Second thing that we will learn, and it's actually a very important functionality of Excel, which is called as conditional formatting, right? So what is conditional formatting? We kind of saw that in Tableau as well, right? Conditional formatting, the whole point of having conditional formatting is to highlight data based on specific condition. So it is going to highlight data based on specific conditions, okay? And why is it important? Because you can obviously aid in data analysis. You can visualize where what where your data is present, which is meeting that particular condition. Or you can do error spotting, you can do missing value spotting, or you can basically just look into it and find that you know these are the data cells that have this particular condition. That's what this particular conditional formatting is for. Like for example, if I select this sales column, okay, and if I want to do conditional formatting on this, again, in my data tab over here, okay, my bad. If I go to my home tab over here, I definitely have an option called as conditional formatting. So in this conditional formatting, there are multiple things that you can do. Okay, this is an important part. If you click on the drop down, you will be able to see that there are multiple options present over here. See, there is highlight cells, top bottom rules, data bars, color scales, icon sets. If you want to if you want to create a new rule, if you want to clear rules, or if you want to manage rules, all of that is present over here. Okay, so that is basically conditional formatting that we can do over here. So let's start. Okay. First thing that I'll show you is the built-in rules. Okay. So from here you can create a new rule and you can customize your rule according to your choice. But these are all built-in. Like these are something that are already built with colors and symbols. You can directly go ahead and use them. These are top bottom rules which help you highlight the top 10% or top 10 items, bottom 10% or bottom 10 items, above average, below average, and etc. This highlight cell rules again help you highlight, let's say you want to highlight duplicate values, or you want to highlight values that are greater than a particular threshold, less than a particular threshold, between a threshold, or etc. Right? So if I start with the color scales, if I choose any color scale from here, so in this case, what happens is, let me share my screen. Can you see this whole column got color scaled? So basically the color scale that I had chosen over here, if I click on manage, you will be able to see this is the rule that I had auto selected. Okay, edit rule. Yeah, and you can see the rule very clearly over here. The highest value will be of the red color, the midpoint or the middle value will be of amber, and the lowest color will be, or the lowest value will be around green color. So this is a three color scale that I had chosen. Okay, I mean it was auto created. The template was auto created in Excel. I just chose it on my data, and that's how the conditional formatting looks like. Now I can very clearly see that which are the red values, which are the amber ones, and which are the green ones. So very clearly you can see that if there is something which is red, I can see what are the differentiating factors between this row and this row over here, right? So these kind of things, basically helps us in checking. Got it? What is conditional formatting? Now let's say I want to clear the rule. So I'm just going to click on this drop down and I'm going to click on clear rules. Okay, and then you can choose, you want to clear rules from the selected cells or do you want to clear rules from the entire sheet. In our case, both will do the same job because we have applied the rule to the same column. So you can choose any of them and the rule will be cleared, right? Then for example, you want to do different kind of conditional formatting over here. So you can click on new rule, right? And in this new rule, one second, yeah, any which ways it's showing it up. So you're fine. Yeah. In this new rule, you can set up your formatting rule. How do you want to set up your formatting rule? You want color scales, data bars, icon set, you want classic, and how do you want, if you choose classic, you can choose on what format or on what condition do you want to color them. Let's say you want to format cell that contain a value or top or bottom ranked cell, above or below, or you want to format only unique or duplicate values, or you can use a formula to determine which cells do you actually want to format over here. So if you want, let's say I want to choose all the values that are below average. So I'll choose below average. And what do you want to highlight them with? Let's say I want to highlight them with red color fill. You can choose your color options. And if you click on OK, all the values, all the numerical values over here that are below average will get highlighted. Now, why all the values got highlighted? Because I selected all the range of cells. Like I selected the entire data. So the average is also getting average is also getting computed based on all the columns. That's the reason why these values are coming as below average. Okay, if I just clear rules from entire sheet, and now let's say I just choose this particular column, new rule, and let's say you choose the classic over here, below average, and you can choose what you want to choose over here, and OK. Now it will highlight cells that are below average over here. Got it? Is it clear till here? What about others? Everybody clear? So that's conditional formatting. Helps you identify, data, helps you highlight data in multiple forms over here. So can you guys quickly try it out once? Okay, I guess most of you guys are done. Now, let's say I want to look at my nulls, okay, or my missing values. Understand this thing. In in uh in Excel, how is a missing value represented? So a lot of places you will see missing values represented by either none or a keyword called null and etc. In Excel, if there is a keyword like null, maybe it is getting represented as a null value or as a missing value, but there is no predefined rule that null means missing, right? Like how Excel identifies a missing value is that it is supposed to be a blank cell. So let's say there is a blank cell over here. Let's say this person's name is not present, it's a blank cell. So this is a null value or this is a missing value that Excel identifies. Now, here comes a little bit of context of understanding. Okay, for you, let's say you have imported the data from a Python script, or you have imported the data from, let's say, a SQL table or something. In that case, you might have your blanks as null. Like you might have your missing data as null and it will be written as null. So in this case, if you want to find nulls, you will just use the null keyword over here. You can just find that cells that contain that null keyword, but the data that is produced and that is basically being generated directly into Excel, those data will not have the null keyword, because null keyword is basically an identified missing value in MySQL. Same way in Python it's none, right? So these are keywords that are used in Python and MySQL only to identify or to represent missing values. But in Excel, that is not the case. In Excel, if you want, how Excel identifies a missing value is if a value in a cell is blank, there is nothing in that cell, not even a space, not even a space. If that is present in a particular cell, that cell is a missing value. Like if you look at this cell, there is nothing present in this cell, not even a space bar, nothing. So that's why this cell is a missing value or a null value. If you want to look at null values, you can look from the drop down. And if you look in the end, can you see blanks? So these blanks, if you just filter for these blanks, you will be able to see that there is this value in customer name, which is a blank. So that's how Excel firstly identifies all blanks or all missing values. That's the first thing. Got that part? How is a null value identified in Excel? Is that clear for everyone?
Ma'am, could you please show again where is can we select the blank option from the drop
For,
down menu?
for any column, if you go to the drop down, your drop down will show blanks. It will either show blanks on the starting or it will show blanks at the end, but there will be a blanks option. If you just choose the blanks option, only the cells in that column, only the cells that have blanks will basically get filtered. Got it?
Yes, ma'am. But I can't see it in my like Excel sheet.
That's
The
because your
blank.
data doesn't have a blank. The data that
Okay.
I gave you mostly doesn't have blanks. I just created a blank over here by just going to a cell and clicking on delete. Like I just removed all the content from the cell to show that this is a blank cell. Got it?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and I'll give you time to execute it. So don't worry about parallelly executing it. Okay. Now, herein, uh, uh, this is again a tedious process, right? To go to every column and see that which column has blanks, or to scroll and find that which column or which value is blank over here. That's a quite a tedious process. Instead, what we can do is take use of conditional formatting. Conditional formatting tells us that whatever error spotting, whatever highlighting you want to do in your data, you can use conditional formatting. So why don't we use conditional formatting to actually make use of this scenario and highlight all the blanks? We can do that, right? So let's go ahead and first select the whole data, the entire data set. I've selected the entire data set. Now I'll go to conditional formatting. I'll click on highlight cell rules. And in highlight cell rules, okay, over here, let me reshare my screen. In highlight cell rules over here, the last option is called as more rules, right? I will click on that last option. So this one, if you see, is about more rules. When I clicked on this more rules, you can see more rules that you can set up in your data. And this specifically shows us, cells that contain a value or is above average, below average, etc. You don't need to do anything. You've clicked on more rules. All you can do is over here. See, it is saying that only format cells that contain. Of course, you can change values from here, but I'm choosing only format cells that contain. What is the cell value that I want to highlight? Blanks, right? So I'm just going to click on this drop down and choose as blanks. And you can choose how you want to, highlight them. I will let it be this way and I'll click on OK. Now see, only the cells in my data set that are in this red color, I know that there is a blank over here. Got that? Is it clear till here? See, wherever there is a blank, it got highlighted with conditional formatting. That's the advantage of using conditional formatting. Is it clear till here, everyone? Okay. You guys can try it out once on your own and let me know once you're done. Okay, I can see 3 done. What about others? Everyone good? Are we done? Okay. Next thing is about referencing in Excel. Okay, this is again an important part about Excel. That Excel has, ways that you reference a particular cell, and you can choose that. Okay, using multiple kind of things that we have in Excel. What do I mean by that? Firstly, if you're referencing any cell, right? If you're referring to any cell over here, like for example, let's say, give me a minute, let me create a sample data set. 1 second. One second, I'm trying to create it. Give me a minute. Okay. Let's say there is this table over here. This is where we will work with. Okay, so just created a sample table over here with items, quantity, their unit price, and their discounts and etc. Okay, so herein, if I want to calculate the subtotal, okay, the column E subtotal, it is nothing but it is basically nothing but the formula that will be nothing but quantity into unit price, right? The quantity into unit price will be the subtotal. Discount total will be whatever subtotal I get, on that I'll apply the discount. That will be my discount percentage. And total will be nothing but all the sum of all the quantities that I have. Okay, these totals will be basically sum of all the quantities, sum of all the unit price, and etc. Okay, and this total will be nothing but subtotal minus discount amount. That's the calculation that we will do over here. Everyone clear with what calculation we will do over here? Okay, so if I write over here, if I write equals to quantity multiplied by unit price. So in this case, okay, in this case, when you enter B2 into C2, so you're this kind of referencing that you can see There are two kind of referencing that we have in Excel. One is relative referencing and the other one is absolute referencing. Okay. So relative referencing basically refers to a method where cell is referenced in a formula. Like here here the cell B2 and C2, it is being referenced in a formula and is being adjusted based on the relative position of the cell. Okay, it's being adjusted based on the relative position of the cell, right? So relative referencing is actually a default behavior of Excel, and it's useful when you're trying to create formulas, when you're trying to copy formulas, you're trying to apply them to different parts of the worksheet and etc. So you don't have to manually adjust the cell referencings. You can automatically apply them to all the cells. Like for example, if I write first subtotal is equals to B2 into C2. If I press enter over here, if I press enter, you will see that I got the first subtotal. Now for the next row, for bananas, I don't have to go ahead and write the formula manually again. I don't need to do that. Instead, if I click on this cell, if I click on E2, you can do two things over here. Actually, three things over here. So if you click on this cell and if you just hover on the cell's bottom right portion, right? See, if you just hover on the bottom right portion, there will be a dragging option available. So you can either like just drag it down like this, or you can drag it towards the end like this. Just click and drag it towards the end. It will fill the formulas for all the cell, or you can select this cell. Okay, you can select this range of cells and you can press Ctrl plus D. That will also select and fill the cells with the same formula. Or you can just click on this cell again, go to the bottom right where the plus symbol is coming and double click. This way you will be able to select and basically select and apply the formula to all the cells in that given range. So you can either drag it down, or you can double click, or you can select the range of cells and click on Command plus D. So that way you can basically drag and fill the cells with the desired value that you want. Okay. And it's not just for formulas, for anything. Like if I just write apple over here, right? If I just drag it down, all the values will be filled with apple. Or if I just select a range of cells and if I press Ctrl D, it will be filled with apple. So not just for formulas, for anything that you want to fill your range of cells with. Okay, you can press Ctrl D by selecting the range of cells, or you can drag it down and fill the range of cells with the value, with the formula, and etc. The good part in Excel is that, see, it did not copy the exact formula. You can see the formula in the formula bar, by the way. This is the formula bar where you can see the formula for a particular cell. For the first cell E2, the formula was B2 into C2. Obviously, for exactly that cell, apple's quantity into price should be multiplied, right? For the next cell, bananas quantity into unit price should be multiplied, not apples, right? So when I go to the next cell, it automatically became B3 into C3. Then see B4 into C4, then B5 into C5. So it is automatically adjusting the formula based on the position of the cell, right? So are being adjusted based on the relative position of the cell, and that is being dragged or copied to all the other cells. This is called as relative referencing. This fact is called as relative referencing. This is the default behavior of Excel. It's useful when you're creating such formulas and you want to apply it to all the range of cells and etc. That's the first thing. Is that clear for everyone?
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
How can we apply the formula to the whole row, like without dragging and using Control D? Because if we are doing Control D, it's doing at a certain cell, right?
No, so when you select the range of cell, let's say there is a whole column, okay? There is this whole column. So you can select the entire column by Control Shift down arrow, right? Once you
Yes.
select the entire column, you can press Control D. That will apply to all the cells. It's selected in the range. A range is in your control. You can select the entire range of cells with a control shift down arrow. Then you can press control D, that will fill the formula to all the cells. Okay, other way is just that if you, like, let's say there is a value apple and you want to fill it to all the rows in this particular column H. So you can just put your cursor in the bottom right corner where the plus symbol comes and double click. It will basically fill to the whole range of cells that you have. Got it?
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Everybody clear till here? I'll give you time to execute, don't worry. Let me just finish this up first. Everybody clear till here? All right, that's great. Next up, over here, we'll calculate the discount amount. So I just said about discount amount, right? So what will be the calculation for discount amount? Can anyone tell me? What will be discount amount?
Subtotal multiplied by discount percentage.
Sorry, go ahead again.
Subtotal multiplied by discount percentage.
That's right. That's right. So discount amount is nothing but subtotal into discount percentage, right? So I will basically write subtotal multiplied, my bad, subtotal multiplied by discount percentage over here, right? Now, see, what happens over here is that I get the discount amount. Again, I'll do the same thing. I'll fill it up, right? So this gives me the discount amount that is available for a particular column, right? What will be total? And
Subtotal.
before we go to total, just tell me this, is the discount amount looking correct?
It should be percentage, right?
Exactly, exactly. It should be percentage. So remember that we have to convert it to percentage. And how do we do that? So it's nothing but, I mean, I am applying 5% discount to my subtotal, right? So if I want to apply 5% discount to my subtotal, it will be nothing but E2 multiplied by T2 divided by 100. Just a simple mathematical formula. So now I get the actual percentage that is present, right? So everyone got the discount percentage or the discount amount that is actually going to be applied? Yes or no? Yes. Now I have to calculate total. Total is nothing but what? Subtotal minus the discount amount. That is my total. Again, fill it up for all the cells and you got the total value present over here. Right? So everyone got the absolute, sorry, my bad, relative referencing that we practiced over here. Everyone clear with that? And even if you want to calculate totals over here, you can just, I'll talk about formula for all this later, but just manually you can select all the cells that this plus this plus this plus this, and you'll get the total over here, right? So this sums up our relative referencing completely, where the values are getting adjusted in the formulas based on the cell position for every cell present over here, right? Now let's say I have a value over here which is tax rate. Now obviously tax rate for the entire all the fruits, I mean for all the fruits the tax rate will be same, right? If government applies an 18% tax or 18% GST, it will be same for all the fruits, not for, it's not like apple will have 19% and orange will have 15%. Am I right? Okay, so let's say there is a standard tax rate which is 8. Okay, I've written that the tax rate is basically 8%. Now I want to calculate the tax amount. Okay, I want to calculate the tax amount. So what will be tax amount? Again, nothing but total into tax rate. Am I right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now look at this. If I just want to calculate the tax amount, it will be nothing but total multiplied by again the same thing. This is a percentage, so 8 divided by 100. That will be the amount of tax that we have. Okay, this is 100, my bad. So this is the tax amount that is being calculated on this total, right? And if I just drag the formula, why is everything getting filled with 0? Can anyone tell me why is everything getting filled with 0?
The tax percentage is moving to the next cell.
Exactly. So when you look at this tax amount which is present in H2, it is referencing to the correct cell. My correct cell is what? This one. C9 is my correct cell, right? So this is referencing to the correct cell. 8% is the tax. But when I move to the next cell, because of relative referencing, because of this default behavior of Excel, it is now referencing to C10, but there is nothing present in C10. And that's the reason why tax rate is basically getting filled with zeros, which is wrong, right? It's a wrong calculation, am I right? Everyone understands that it's a wrong calculation. That's the reason why we have absolute referencing. So absolute referencing in Excel is a method where the cell reference to a fixed cell. So if you are using a particular cell reference in a formula, if you are using a particular cell reference in a formula, it becomes fixed. You can fix it. So when you copy the formula or when you drag the formula to other cells, the formula's cell referencing doesn't change. This means the reference to a specific cell remains constant, regardless of where the formula is being copied in the whole worksheet. Got it? Now, how is absolute referencing added? Absolute referencing is added in Excel by adding a dollar sign. So, in this formula itself, I want to fix C9, right? C9 is fixed. So, what I can do is I can add a dollar sign. Dollar in front of C will basically lock the C column. Dollar in front of 9 will lock the ninth row. So, dollar C dollar 9 will basically lock C9 completely. If you remove the dollar in front of 9, if it's just dollar C9, that means you have fixed the column C. You have not fixed the column row. So that's why there is a dollar needed over here as well. And if you fix only, I mean, let's say if you fix only the row 9 and not the column C, that means only the row 9 has been locked or fixed, but column C is still variable. So if you drag the formula horizontally, it won't basically refer to the same row. It will basically go to D9 and etc. That's the reason why I need to lock both of them. Why I need to lock both of them, is it clear? Because there will be scenarios where you will lock only the column or you will lock only the row. There will be such scenarios, but in this case, why I locked the both the things, the column and the row, is it clear? Is that part clear? Okay. So here, one thing that you can do is you can manually lock them by adding that dollar signs. You can add dollar signs and you can manually lock them, obviously. Or else, if you put your cursor before C9 and if you press function F4, automatically the dollar signs get added by using F4. So for people who are using MacBook, you can press function F4. For Windows, however you make F4 work, you can make it, and basically that's it. Now if you see, once I drag the formula, see, Now the proper tax rate got calculated over here. Everywhere C9 is getting referenced. Though the total is getting used as relative referencing, but the tax rate is fixed up over here. Is it clear till here? Is absolute referencing clear for everyone? So absolute referencing is basically useful when you want to refer to a specific cell, or if you want to refer to a specific range of cells that do not change when you are copying the formula to other parts of the worksheet. So this will make sure that your formula is always referring to the same cell, even if the position within the worksheet is basically getting changed. Right? So are we all clear with types of referencing in Excel, relative referencing and absolute referencing completely? Can you guys quickly try it out till here? Let me know once it's done.
Ma'am, can you please show the formula for tax amount?
Yeah, it's nothing but total into the tax amount that we have.
Okay.
Uh, Instead of while calculating discount amount, instead of putting divided by 100, we can format the D column into percentage also, right?
Yes, we can do that. Yeah. Okay, I could find 3 done. Everybody else done? All right, cool. Next up, we'll slowly start understanding functions that are present in Excel. Okay. Now, first thing, why do we need the functions, right? What is functions and etc. So, again, for automatic calculations, like if I want to allow users to automate complex calculations to save their time, I need to use functions in that case, right? Because functions in that case will basically become even more even more right. It will reduce the risk of errors, it will save my time and etc. Plus in data analysis also you might need a lot of functions so that you can perform all kind of calculations and etc. You can make decisions using functions, using logical functions that will help users make decisions, or you can manipulate data. You can allow users to manipulate and kind of transform data, because there are a lot of those kind of functions as well. Then you can customize, like you can provide users with flexibility so that they can customize formulas, functions, etc. And the efficiency basically increases when you use functions, and it is better as well. The only disadvantage is that obviously complexity increases, and again your functions need to be right. If there is any parameter issue or anything, it might lead to an error. So yeah, for that reason, functions obviously can be used, but it should be used in the correct way, or else it will lead to an error, like it won't even accept that calculation. Okay, so in Excel there are many kind of functions that are present. There are mathematical calculation functions, there are statistical functions, logical operations. If you want to work with text manipulation, it's there. If you want to work with date and time operations, there are functions for that, etc. So, for example, mathematical calculations, there are functions like sum, average, max, mean, used for basic arithmetic operations, statistical calculations, etc. Even for statistical analysis, you have functions like counts, the sum ifs, the medians, like the average values, and etc. Then standard deviations, variations. A logical operation means, for example, decision making, like if is a logical function, and or etc. So all these functions are something that we will learn. Okay, the first function that we will learn or work on is mathematical functions. Okay, let me type up over here. So mathematical functions, again, like we know, for arithmetic operations and etc. Okay, so let me again create a sample data set over here. Give me a minute, I'm trying to create a data set. Okay, can you guys hear me now? I think I just lost connection. Is it audible to everyone? Okay, let me share back my screen. Just created a sample data. Okay. So where we have name, we have one second. Yeah, we have name. We have the sales unit sold, the revenue, the date sold, the category, the status, and etc. One second. Yeah. So let's try to use mathematical calculations over here. And I mean, I've named the sheet itself mathematical functions, right? Like for example, if I want to calculate what is the profit earned, right? So in that case, what will profit be over here? Profit will be nothing but revenue by sales that is earned in every unit. Am I right? Yes or no? If I just want to calculate what is profit divided by, I mean, profit per unit, it is nothing but revenue divided by sales. Am I right? Okay, so let's do that calculation quickly. See, nothing but revenue divided by sales per unit. Fill up the formula and you got the profit per unit, right? Also, for all the sales or revenue that is present in dollars or profit that is present in dollars, you can just format them as currencies. So here in home tab under number, if you just click on currencies, they all get formatted as currencies. You can choose what currency do you want, dollar, rupees, anything, right? So we'll see the mathematical functions that we have over here one by one. Give me a minute. Okay. So let's say I want to find, I want to use sum. I want to use average, which obviously calculates sum and average respectively. And let's say min, there is max and etc. So let's say I'm doing all of this on revenue. Okay, let's say I'm doing all of this in revenue. So what will be sum and how will we type sum? It's equal to sum. And if you see the functions are coming up over here, choose it and you don't have to select every cell, comma, comma, comma like that. If you just select the first cell, you can just press Control Shift down arrow. It will select whole range of cells, close the formula and press enter. And it will find the sum over here. Same way for average. Use the average function. Choose the first cell, Control Shift down arrow, select the range, close the formula. Same way for minimum, you can use the min function. Choose the cell, Control Shift down arrow. Okay, one second. Yeah. C2, my bad, equals to min. Control Shift down arrow, close the bracket, and you can see the minimum sales. And same way you can create maximum sales as well, which is nothing but equals to max of, choose the first cell, Control Shift down arrow, and you will be able to find all these mathematical functions right up over here. Is that clear for everyone to start off with? Everybody clear till here? I'll just give you guys this data so that you can walk around with it. Give me 1 minute. Okay, I've sent the data in the chat box. Can you guys open it up and calculate the sum, average, min, and max over here? Just let me know once you guys are done. Okay, I got one done, waiting for others. Okay, so done? Cool. So those are the first set of basic mathematical operations or basic mathematical functions. Other than that, we can also use different kind of mathematical functions, like for example, average if, sum if, etc. So those are like variations on this mathematical function, right? So we'll see those functions in some time. We are covering the basic ones first, okay? Now let's say I create a little bit of more sample data over here, fruit and sales, okay? Okay, I've just created a random fruit and sales over here. Let me just border it up so that you guys can see it up clear. Now, why I did this? Because I've deliberately left a little bit of blanks over here. There's a blank here, there's a blank here. So this will help us understand the statistical functions to start off with. So let me name the sheet mathematical and stats function. So to start off with, we will learn about count. So count is a function that counts the number of cells that are contained in a particular range. Number of cells that are contained in a particular range. The first function in count is the normal count function. Okay. The normal count function, like I said, it is just going to count the number of cells in a range. So if I use count over here, in our case, if I use count, it is equals to count of, let's say, all the fruits that I choose over here, and it is going to give me 0. Why 0? Because here it mostly operates with numerical data. So if you give a textual data, it is likely to give you a 0. So we'll try it on numerical data. Yeah. So if you see, it gives us 10 values. How many values do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But it still gives me 10 values. Why? Can anyone tell that?
It is not calculating the blank one.
Yeah, so it is ignoring the blank, right? So is that clear for everyone? Okay. So it ignores the blank values. It will not consider the blank values that are present in a particular range. And so is count A going to do. So if you see, there is a variation called count A. That also does the same thing. It counts the number of non-empty cells in a range. So if you just choose count A, and if you choose the range of cells, it is also going to give you 10. Because it is also basically going to count the non-empty cells present in a particular range of cells present over here. Got it? Is it clear? Count is clear for everyone?
Ma'am, what's the difference between count and count A?
So count and count A, they look very same. In a lot of situations, they look very same. But there's a little bit of fundamental difference between them. Okay. So count basically, again, it counts the number of cells that contain numbers. Okay. So I'll specify also it over here. Okay, it contains it basically counts the number of cells that contain. Okay, let me wrap it up so that becomes easier for you guys to look at this. 1 second. Yeah, wrap text. And I just wrapped it up. Yeah. So it basically count function specifically counts cells that contain numbers. So if there are blank cells, if there are logical values like true, false, or errors, it's going to ignore it. How? I'll show you. So let's say there is a value like true over here, or there is a value which contains an error. Like for example, if I give this divided by 10, obviously it is going to throw me an error, right? This is an error. You cannot divide a text value with an integer value, right? So let's say this is blank. Now if I change my range of values over here, I'll do count. You will see it still gives you 10. Why? Because it ignores blank, it ignores text values, it ignores logical values as well. That's how count function calculates. Even if there is even if there is a textual value over here, let's say there is something like ABC, even if you increase the range to contain 38 as well, it will still give you 10 because it doesn't consider any text values present over here. Is that clear? First thing is clear. Okay, now count A. Like I said, count A is supposed to only ignore the empty cells. So this is a function that counts only non-empty cells. So no matter what, it is only going to count only the non-empty cells present over here. Like, for example, in this case, if I use count A on fruits, all the fruits range that I choose over here, if you see, it is returning me a value and the value is 11 because there are 11 non-empty values present in this range. It is working on text as well. So it can contain sorry, my bad, it can count cells that contain numbers, text, logical values, or errors. Only thing that it ignores is only blanks over here. So if I use count A over here in this sales range, if you see, it is giving 13. Why? Because it has only ignored this blank. Other than that, it has considered numbers. It has considered the true or false. True or false is nothing but logical value, right? Either true or false. It's a logical value. It has considered error and it has considered text also. That's the difference between count and count A. Is that clear for everyone? Also, for example, let's say instead of ABC, okay, instead of ABC, I put a space bar. Now, what do you think? Will this consider, I mean, will count A consider this cell as blank or will it still count it up? What do you think? It will count it. It will not get considered as a blank. Why? Because I have given a space over here. If you'll notice, I've given a space bar. There is a difference between blank versus empty, right? A cell might appear blank, but is not actually an empty. If it contains a space character, it might look like it's a blank, but it's actually having a space. That's why it is basically getting counted in my count A. But here, if I put it up as blank, now you will see the count A value changed because this is truly a blank. There is nothing present in this. Same way, if I put up any text, it will basically again count it up. So is this clear till here? Everybody clear with what is count versus count A? Okay. Next up, we have count if. So what is count if supposed to do? It counts cells that meet a specific condition. So it is just going to count cells that meet a specific condition. Okay. So if I write count if, and let's say I choose this criteria, and after you give your range, you can specify your criteria, and you can see always Excel always prompts the formula. So you can always notice the formula, what is required in the formula, and etc. So you can see it is saying give the range and give the criteria. So let's say my criteria is, I'll specify my criteria within double quotes, okay? So what is my criteria? That let's say my criteria is that it should be greater than 30. Now if I press enter, if you see it returned 5. Why? Because there are actually only 5 values that are greater than 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's what COUNTIF does. Is this clear for everyone? Yes or no? COUNTIF clear? Okay. Okay. Cool. And it's not like COUNTIF only works on numbers. It's a versatile function. So it can handle various data types as well. So here I counted numbers. Here I can use it on text values as well, right? Like for example, I can count cells that contain a specific text. So let me, choose my criteria. Sorry, choose my range. And let's say my criteria is over here, something like Okay, can you guys hear me? I think I just lost network in between. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Yes, right? All right, cool. So let's say I want to find out what are the cells, or I want to find number of values in this particular range that start with A. Okay, so I will give A and then I'll give star. So why A star? Because in this criteria, I'm trying to find cells, I'm trying to find and count cells that start with A. Okay, so A is the starting text that your string must start with, your text must start with. And asterisk that you see over here is a wildcard character. It kind of represents any number of characters. Okay, so we are trying to say that count the number of cells in this range that start with letter A, and after A, it can have anything. It can have anything after A. So asterisk represents anything. 0 characters or or 1 character or anything. So even if there is a even if there is a text like A, that will also get counted. Even if there is A, B, B, that will also get counted. The whole point of using asterisk is that I can count any number of cells that contain the first character or the first letter as A. After A, there can be anything or nothing, doesn't matter. So if you see, it returned 3 because we have 3 apples present over here. Got it? Is it clear till here?
Ma'am, is it case sensitive or not?
It is case sensitive in Excel.
Okay.
Are we all clear till here? Only if you use Microsoft 365, the latest version. In that case, instead of capital A, you can give small case A as well. It will work the same. But only in the latest version of my bad, I'm just saying MySQL in Excel. Okay. So are we clear with COUNTIF till here? Okay. Next up, we'll learn about SUMIF. It's also an important, interesting question, interesting function. So these basically adds up numbers. This function basically add up numbers that again meets a criteria. Whatever criteria you specify, it will basically add up number based on that. So let's give SUMIF. Let's specify the range. So let's say this is my range of values. In this value, you can give your criteria. Okay. So let's say my criteria is that value should be greater than 30. So if you see, it summed up the values that are greater than 30, which is 40 plus 40 plus 56 plus 45 plus 38. That's how I got 219. Is it clear till here, everyone? Can you guys quickly execute till here? Let me know once you're done. Okay, are you guys done till here? Done? All right, great. What about others? Everyone back, right? Alright, cool. So we learned about statistical functions till now. Next up, we'll learn about logical functions. Okay, logical functions are functions that help you take a decision. Like, if something is true, then this is going to happen, and etc. So let's have a look at that. So let's say I'll talk about if first. So what if does is it returns a value if a condition is true and another value if a condition is false. So for example, over here, I can use if and I can see that if status is equal to active, if status is equal to active, then I will maybe return what will be the value that it will return in case status is equals to active. So let's say in case it is, I'm going to return 1 or else 0. That's it. Now if you drag the formula down, see 1 0 1 0 1 0 etc. Wherever the status is active, the H column became 1. Wherever it is inactive, it is 0. So that's a simple basic if that it just returns a value if a condition is true, returns another value if the condition is false. And you can customize the formula as and how you like it, right? But let's say you want to combine multiple conditions, like you want to see if status is active and if the revenue was, let's say, greater than $300, then you want to return. So in this case, there are two conditions that you want to combine, right? So for combining conditions, you can use and you can use or. What is the difference between and or? So and basically returns true if both the conditions are true, or else it will always be false. So if I say apple and mango, it has to be apple and mango, only then the output will be true or the condition will be true, or else false. But or, like it says, or, so it basically means that even if one of the conditions are true, the output is going to be true, or else if both the conditions are false, only then the output will basically be false. So let's first use and. So what does and say? That if both the conditions are true, then my output is true, or else my output is false. So I'll give my first logical condition, which is if 2 is equals to active, and second condition is that revenue should be greater than 300, let's say. Then it's a 1. And now drag this formula down. So if you see wherever it is 1, if the revenue is greater than 300, only then it is 1. See here, the status was active, but since the revenue is 300, it's not greater than 300. That's why the answer became 0. So that's how and operates. Is that clear for everyone? Was this clear for everyone? Okay. Here, what I did is I basically checked if status is active and if revenue is greater than 300, then I'm returning 1 or else I'm returning 0. That's what I have checked over here if you look at the formula. If status is active and if revenue is greater than 300, if both of these conditions are true, because there is an and which is applied over here, in case both of the conditions are true, for rows where both status is active and revenue is greater than 300, when both these conditions are true, that's when the outcome is going to be true. That's when the whole condition is going to be true. So if it is true, obviously this is your condition, right? If this is true, the value returned will be 1, or else the value returned will be 0. So here if you see, status is active and revenue is greater than 300. That's why the value 1 got associated. If you notice here, the status is active, but the revenue is not greater than 300. It is just 300. It's not greater than 300. That's why the output became 0. Is it clear now? On the contrary, if you use OR, right, what OR does is it basically just checks the opposite. It is basically going to see even if one of the conditions are true. Like if either status is active, or revenue is greater than 300, if one of them are true, the output is going to be 1. Okay, if you notice, see, look at this. Status is active, but revenue is not greater than 300, but still the outcome became true. Why? Because I have used the OR condition over here. And OR tells me that even if one of the conditions are true that you have specified, the outcome is going to be true. So the condition became true even if the status is active or the revenue is greater than 300. Like in this case, see, status is not active, it is pending. But since revenue is greater than 300, the outcome became 1. That's the difference between and or. Is it clear till here? Can you guys quickly try it out yourself? Just let me know once you guys are done. Alright, so everybody done? And is it clear? So are you guys understanding how we are using different functions in this case and with what context we are using, in what scenarios we are using? Okay. Next up, we'll look at text functions, okay? So text functions are functions that help you manipulate with textual data, okay? So for example, if I use the function concatenate, this function basically, what it does is it combines multiple text, multiple strings into one. So if you notice, let's say I use concatenate and I use the status, comma, I specify a hyphen, and let's say I take the profit per unit. So if you see, for every row over here, it has concatenated the status value, it has given a hyphen, space, hyphen, space, and then it has given the profit value. So this can concatenate multiple strings into one string using the concatenate function. Same way, you have a function called left, which is used to extract n number of leftmost characters. Okay, so if you want to extract few left characters from a string, so let's say from this value, okay, from J2, if I want to extract the first 5 characters, I will write left J2 comma 5. So from every row, it will extract the first 5 characters present over here. Same way, if you use right, the opposite. From rightmost part, it will extract whatever number of characters you want. So let's say I always want to extract 2 characters from right hand side. So now if you see, you could extract the rightmost 2 characters present over here. Is this clear? Till here, is it clear? These are some of the text functions. What about others? Everybody clear, right? Okay. Sarika, Shubham, Ramachandrian, Preksha, Jagdish, Gayatri, Pallavi, Dhanushri, Astha. What about you guys? Are you guys clear as well?
Ma'am, can you explain the right one again?
So right will basically extract n number of rightmost characters. So from this string, I extracted the last 2 characters or the rightmost 2 characters. That's why we got 20, 15, 25 and etc. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Same way, you have a function called as trim. So what trim does is it removes leading and trailing spaces. All leading and trailing spaces. I think I covered um, trim in Tableau as well. I don't remember. But this is supposed to basically remove leading and trailing spaces. Okay. So how? Let's understand. Well, firstly, what is leading and trailing space? Okay, so if you have a text, let's say the actual text is ABC, but let's say there are unwanted spaces in the beginning and unwanted spaces in the after part, like the ending part. These are unwanted spaces, right? I don't need it. So it will basically remove these leading and trailing spaces. That's what trim is for. For example, let's say I have a text like ABC. This is a normal text ABC. If I use trim on ABC, it is going to return the same thing. But if I, let's say, have few spaces and then again few spaces and ABC, now if I use trim on this one, see, it returned ABC. So it cleaned the extra spaces from starting and ending. That's what trim does. It's actually used for cleaning purposes. Got it? And same way, you have another function. It comes under string functions called as length. It is nothing but used to calculate the length of a particular, cell value. So it will basically calculate the number of characters in a string. So see, it will always give you the number of characters in a string like this. So are we all good till here? Okay, I'll just stop sharing my screen and I'll keep the class still here. So did you guys learn all the things that we understood today? Was it completely clear for everyone? Yes, definitely practice is needed. So I will urge you guys to take sample data. You can find sample data everywhere in Kaggle, or you can create your own sample data as well and try to use that sample data on these functions. So that's when you will understand the difference and etc. over here. Got it? So all right, cool guys. Thank you so much for joining in and I'll see you guys next week. So thank you.